Congratulations. You have been accepted to work for the SCP Foundation. As told to you by now, you will be dealing with anomalous activities. This includes most things paranormal, objects, living organisms, places, and more. We consider these anomalies as SCP, which you should know by now. As a researcher of SCP-2000, you will be responsible for checking the trash semi-annually and replacing them as necessary. There is more routine to be done to maintain this SCP, as will be instructed accordingly by your site director. Through discussing your rights with your employer, you have also learned that you are willingly putting yourself in a dangerous scenario, and that you are solely responsible for anything that happens to you during your time here. Dangers include psychological deterioration, physical injury, and potentially even death.
So, ready to learn the basics? And by the way, the basics are a lot of shit. It's gonna be a fucking brain blast to take in all this, so I'll try to make it as simple as I can. You're welcome. Let's start and learn from the top. Firstly, you will need to know the object classes for these anomalies. There are 3 official primary classes. First one is safe. Safe anomalies are SCP that are easily and safely contained. So if you have a box and you put the SCP inside of it and it doesn't do anything, it's considered safe. It doesn't matter if it makes the entire world explode if it escapes. If it's easy to contain, it's safe. Next up is Euclid. Euclid consists of anomalies that require more resources and procedure to contain. So if you put an SCP in a box, but you have to maintain a procedure to keep it in there, it's considered Euclid. This field of description does not involve intense surveillance as the likes of Keter does. Keter involves SCP that are exceedingly difficult to contain and require constant maintenance to keep put. So, you put the SCP in a box, and then you have tons of security measures to ensure that it will stay put and not escape. And the methods and techniques in which you do so all depend on the anomaly you are dealing with. Now there are 4 official secondary classes. Apollyon. Apollyon SCPs are anomalies that cannot be contained, but need to be. So, in this scenario, there is no box. It might involve an SCP that will end the universe or something, but there is no way to stop it. It is imminent. Archon. These are anomalies that could be contained, but are best left uncontained. So basically, it's best to keep it outside of the box, because if you keep it in the box, it will result in casualty. We just don't fuck around with it and just let it do its thing, or else. Now, Thaumiel. Thaumiel SCPs are ones that the Foundation uses as a tool to benefit themselves in some sort of manner. So, let me give you one example of this type of class. If you put another SCP inside a box, the Thaumiel SCP is the box itself. That, or they may keep an anomaly in its natural habitat so they will be able to harvest it for some reason. Ticonderoga. Ticonderoga SCPs are anomalies that cannot be contained, but also don't need to be. So in this case, there is no box, but there's also no need to take efforts to find a box. It's fine the way it is. Now, there are 6 non-standard object classes. These are classes for anomalies that have not yet been assigned to a standard object class for some reason. Explained. Explained SCPs are anomalies that are completely understood, to the extent that they can be explained by mainstream science. So it might be a bear that screams like a human or some shit, but then it's discovered later on that it just has a scratch in its throat or something. Bad example, but it gets across the idea. Now, neutralized. These are SCPs that have been intentionally or accidentally destroyed, making them no longer anonymous. So just boom, it explodes. Scientists is then like, hell yeah, or oh shit. Decommissioned. These are anomalies that have been intentionally stripped of their anomalous property for some variable reason. An example could be because they can't be contained, and they are such a threat to human life that stripping it of its power may be the best outcome. Now, pending. This is exactly how it sounds. There is no object assigned yet, usually because there's a lack of information to do so. Next up, we have uncontained. This category is for an anomaly that is not contained, but there is an ongoing effort to do so. So, Screaming Bear Man again. He's on the run, but the Foundation is currently implementing resources to ensure its containment. Finally, there's esoteric. This is just a label given to an SCP that isn't part of the standard object classes. So all of the ones we just covered can be considered esoteric or narrative. Now that you understand the classes, hopefully, let's go over the pyramid of power within the facility. At the bottom of the pyramid are D-class participants. I call them participants because these are people who are on death row, or are just people who wouldn't matter if they disappeared, and they are given an opportunity. Wait out your punishment, or volunteer in the testing facilities for a month, or however long they decide. Quick note, sometimes they are not volunteered and are just taken in. They're basically crash dummies for the scientists and researchers at the facility. So, if they need to feed a human to an SCP to see what it will do, then they use a D-class subject to do so. Next on the pyramid are the heads of the SCP projects, who oversee basic researchers, security, and maintenance. This entire section of people are responsible for the individually assigned SCPs that they must maintain. So, if there's a janitor or a basic guard standing outside of a door, they're usually in this section unless specified otherwise. Next level up are the site directors and assistants. There are multiple SCP facilities around the world, and each site has its own directors and assistants at each one. They're the ones who take orders from the leaders above them to manage their own specified site. It works similar to most corporate places. For example, the step above withholds the regional directors of sites and field operations, who oversee and manage a region instead of just an individual site. Now, we have the Site Directors Leadership Committee, who oversees the regional directors and take almost direct orders from the higher-ups. This level also holds Specialized or Elite Mobile Task Forces, MTF, such as the Pony Express, who specialize in undercover detective work of tracking and securing SCPs. Another example would be the Bookworms, who deal with anomalies related to the library and other magical counterparts. Also, the Finance and Accounting Division is here because, that money shit gets serious. Next, we have the administrators, who are exactly how they sound. They're admins who withhold a lot of power and are directly related to record keeping and are closely knit with the Site 1 Overwatch. Site 1 is the headquarters of the Foundation, so it's safe to say this group is in charge of some valuable information. The director of the task forces is also in this level, who acts as an overseer for task force operations. Now, we get to the mysterious part. There isn't a lot of knowledge and facts about this section, primarily theories, which means I can't really say very much about it. However, I encourage you to do your own research and come to your own conclusion about the O5 Council. The O5 Council is completely unknown. There are a ton of different descriptions for each person, so take a look for yourself and go with whatever you think is coolest. These people are the ruling body of the Foundation and have complete control over every and all operations. They are so unknown that many think they don't even exist at all and are just a myth. Who knows? Maybe they are. There are also two elite task forces that stand by the Council, Right Hand Red and Law's Left Hand. Both are extremely specialized in their field and have the utmost loyalty to the Foundation. The right hand is responsible for being the Council's Special Operations Unit, primarily focusing on tasks that require the strictest security. The left hand is primarily responsible for removing or executing high-ranking individuals if they are considered acting unethically. Oh, and when I said stand by the Council, the only force that actually stays is the red right hand. Law's left hand is on the same level of power, however it takes orders from a different power. Moving on, we enter the final level, the Ethics Committee. The Ethics Committee is in charge of what is ethical, unlike the Council who is in charge of what is safe. What do they mean by ethical? You can let your imagination run wild with that. I'll give you some food for thought though, however. Although the Foundation takes a pragmatic approach to moral quandaries, the Ethics Committee ensures that only necessary sacrifices are made and that the most ethical option is always chosen. Do with that what you will. On the same level, we have the Administrator. It's theorized that this entity doesn't even exist. We can't call a human because we aren't sure. And if it does exist, it's believed to have created the Foundation. Now, thank God, the pyramid's done. So we still have a couple more things to touch base on, then you're free to start your first day. You might notice that each SCP has a number next to its name. This indicates its classification number. It's best not to think about how it got its number, instead just think of the number as its name. Since you know this knowledge, you might be wondering what SCP-1 is? Well, you don't need to know that. I should also mention that some SCPs are extremely classified. You'll see many SCPs that just aren't known by many class levels because they are kept that way for the better good. Class levels range from 1 through 5. 1, not being available to a lot of information, and 5 being open to all information. These levels are assigned to employees as seen fit. I'd also like to go over some of the GOI, or groups of interest, that are in the SCP universe. There are other foundations other than the SCP Foundation who have taken an interest in anomalies. I'll go over 3 examples to give you a better landscape of the world. The GOC, or the Global Occult Coalition, is the arm of the United Nations that has taken a different approach to handling anomalies, preferably and most commonly exterminating them. Next, we got the Serpent's Hand. Serpent's Hand is a movement more than an actual organization, and it consists of parahuman right activists who hate the GOC even more than the SCP Foundation. And by the way, the SCP Foundation hates the GOC. But the Serpent's Hand doesn't really like the Foundation that much either, since they advocate for part human things, parahuman, whatever. Another example is the UIU, the Unusual Incidents Unit. This is a branch of the FBI from the United States that prioritizes itself in anomalies and anything paranormal. They're pretty untrained and disorganized though, so now most of the time they are just forces working at Paramax prisons and extra-dimensional prisons. They work here to keep anomalies instead of finding and capturing them. The last thing I feel the need to mention is that there is no canon with this series. Have fun with all the articles and databases. You'll find a lot of contradictories and things that don't make sense, but that's okay. Make your own story, and don't let picky, stubborn losers tell you anything otherwise. See the series through your own lens. Now that you know everything, you will be required to destroy this tape,
or else you will be exterminated.
Now that you have agreed to the contents of the confidentiality agreement, you'll be ready to begin your first day. Destroy this tape as instructed, and head over to your assigned dormitory once finished. Thank you for taking interest in the Foundation, and pledging your loyalty to the organization. Lastly, remember what you'll be striving for. Mankind must not go back to hiding in fear. We must stand in the darkness to fight it, contain it, and shield it from the eyes of the public, so that others may live in a sane and normal world. We secure. We contain. We protect.